Illness brings with it the hope for a better tomorrow. So does medical research. I'm Meredith Vieira. The desire to have better health drives critical research at the Harvard NeuroDiscovery Center. The mission there is to develop treatments to cure or prevent diseases of the brain: Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, ALS, and Huntington's. Millions suffer from these diseases, and whole families share the pain. The center is based at Harvard Medical School. Many of the world's leading physicians and scientists have set out to discover why and how these relentless diseases slowly destroy brain function. Their focus is to move scientific breakthroughs from the laboratory to the patient.
We want to be able to offer them faster and more accurate diagnosis. We want to be able to predict how their disease will develop. We want to be able to provide them with drugs and other interventions that will slow the disease, or maybe halt it, ultimately reverse it, and finally prevent it.
Of course, researchers everywhere share that goal, but the HNDC has a unique way to achieve it. The center becomes more than the sum of its parts. Researchers work together. They share their results. These 5 diseases are different, but all are caused by degeneration of brain cells. Research on one disease can lead to progress on another.
I think the power of this community is not either or, it's together. So it's just bringing together people with different perspectives into a common setting that I think produces the kind of powerful interaction that we're looking for.
At the HNDC, patients benefit when researchers break out of their scientific silos.
We redesign another set of compounds.
It would be silly for us to work in separate labs and separate clinics on these disorders because there are both mechanistic similarities, even though they're not the same diseases, and there are ways of solving the problem that we share in common.
To solve those problems, the center uses cutting-edge tools, like advanced multiphoton microscopes, special MRIs that show activity inside a living human brain, and a robotic screening platform that performs thousands of experiments precisely. The center is different in another way. Its scientists recognize that creative academic research needs pragmatic, real-world help to produce tangible results.
Represent a different compound, a different number.
I realize that many academic scientists didn't have the training or knowledge to really discover a drug. That's something that's generally been done in industry. And we didn't want to compete with the large pharmaceutical companies of the world.
The center applies a business-like approach to its work. It adopts the discipline that big pharmaceutical and biotech companies use to develop drugs.
Therefore, we reached out to industry to recruit scientists who had already discovered drugs. They speak the same language as we do because, after all, every pharmaceutical science began in an academic lab. That's how it works.
The Drug Discovery Lab is the largest piece of the work at the center. Researchers in this cutting-edge facility analyze dozens of academic theories. They are winnowed down to just a few promising drug compounds.
We think that if we can take some of the early ideas that emerge from the basic neuroscience departments around the country and around the world, and we can test those ideas out, and we can then go to our colleagues in industry and say, we've done the first steps, we have reduced the risk of this project for you, would you now consider undertaking this project in Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or multiple sclerosis or one of the other diseases?
I couldn't remember before if 15 minutes they had said something and I already forgot it.
Alzheimer's disease today claims 5 million victims and is growing. Alzheimer's is a condition that has baffled neuroscientists and frustrated doctors for decades. But researchers at HNDC feel they are now making real progress.
I've been studying Alzheimer's disease for 25 years. And more has been learned in the last 2 or 3 years, I think, than in the previous 2 decades put together.
Now, if you think the name fits the face, you want to press with your pointer finger. If you think the name doesn't fit the face, press with your middle finger.
Patients can turn the tables and teach researchers how Alzheimer's progresses.
Here's that button box I was talking about.
They do simple memory exercises inside an MRI.
What's the bigger problem is in people like this who may or may not carry a risk gene.
While doctors see how the disease is attacking patients' brains.
And so here is an example of where he's got cortical atrophy again.
Developing drugs is a painstaking process of trial and error.
It is a process that can take a decade or longer.
Fortunately, we're able to point already to a few successes. So 2 of the projects that we've worked on have been licensed to companies, but by undertaking the first early steps of that drug discovery process and then persuading a company to come in and really invest heavily in it, that's success for us.
Neurodegenerative diseases frequently strike the middle-aged and elderly. As Americans live longer, more of us will be at risk for these diseases. There is no time to waste. Scientists at the Harvard NeuroDiscovery Center bring a deep commitment to their efforts and work day and night to protect our futures. I'm Meredith Vieira.